All right, so today we're gonna be taking Remy here for a little on and off leash stroll around the neighborhood. Remy's in for a board and train with us for a few issues. He came in a little dog reactive. He resource guarded a little bit, and other than that, mostly just nuisance behaviors, jumping, biting at the leash, just kind of being too over aroused. Pretty basic stuff. But he is just wrapping up his board and train, so we're going to take him for a little stroll around the neighborhood and show you how to handle your dog when they come back for board and train. What's really important to remember about a dog that has done a 3 or 4 week program, hell, even a 6-week program, they're relatively new to training. So even if they, have learned everything they need to, and we've taken them out and proved them, there's going to be things they haven't seen, environments they haven't been in, especially with you at home. They may have seen that picture with me and the trainers here, but not with you. So when you take them out, you want to go very, very step by step and hold them accountable to everything that they know. Because just because they know it doesn't necessarily mean they will do it if you don't stay on top of it and reinforce everything negatively and positively. So for us, the first step, taking a dog out, starts in the house. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to load up some food for Remy because he's a food dog. He really likes his food. And I'm going to pull him out of his crate. I want to make sure he stays in the crate while I gear him up and waits for permission to get out. So Remy walks on the slip leash. I'm going to pop that on him. If you use flat collar, that works too. So open this up, and I want to see that he stays in his crate while I gear him up. Shows me some nice impulse control at the crate door. If he pops out, I'll just tell him, and get him back in there. Next thing I'm going to do is make sure my e-collar is connected. Remy's on a double box setup, so we're going to pair both of these up. Pop this on him. He's pretty excited to come out for a walk. Buddy. Then I really want to make sure, step one is he shows me some nice impulse control here. It doesn't bomb out of the crate until I allow him to. Good boy, buddy. Okay. And that okay just lets him know he's allowed out of the crate. And we'll get going. From here, even all the way outside, I really want to make sure he's not pulling me on the leash. Ever, ever, ever. Even going up the stairs here, I won't let him pull me on the leash. I want to see that? He hits the end of the leash, and he's very, very mindful of it. That's what a good level of loose leash walking should look like. He should never do it under any circumstances. Next, we've got a front door threshold here. We're going to make sure he doesn't bomb out here. Good boy, buddy. Okay. I'll give him permission to go out the front door. And from here to start our walk, all we're working on, or all we're focusing on, is loose leash walking. So I just want him to not be pulling me, obviously not being reactive and minding his own business, and that's how we're going to start. And then we're going to start taking him through his paces on a little bit of obedience. So I got the e-collar on my left, leash in my right. That's how I like to handle. You can switch it up if you want to. Remember, with loose leash walking, he doesn't have to walk on either side of you. He can walk wherever he wants. He's just not allowed to pull. He can even sniff and pee on stuff. He can be a dog as much as he wants. So I like to just kind of pick one spot on the leash so they kind of know how much leash they have and it's fair to them. If I'm in a tight space, I can always, shorten up my leash if I need to, and he'll pick up on that leash predator pretty quickly and figure out he doesn't have that much leash. But I like to give him as much as I can, as much as the situation allows me to, and just have him walk with me. If he wants to stop and sniff, stop and pee, that's totally fine. He just can't pull me to the sniff spot, and if I walk away from him, he's got to give in to that leash pressure. So I'll come out here and see if he wants to stop and sniff anything and do his thing. Let him have a pee if he needs to. Good job, man. Yeah. No, seems pretty uninterested, so we'll keep it rolling. And now what I like to do when I start getting them on, in the neighborhood for the first few times when they get home, or if you go to a more distracting environment they've never been in before, is take them through their paces a little bit. So I'll get him to a sit, a down, a heel, stuff like that, and just make sure he can do it before we think about letting him off leash. So right there, how he's sniffing and I walk away and he gives into the leash pressure, that's totally fine. It doesn't matter if he creates a little bit and gives in right away, it's what he does with it. He wants to have a pee, have a sniff, that's all good. It's as long as I walk away and he gives into the pressure. That's all that matters. Remy, sit. Good boy. And I'll test his impulse control a little bit. You know, maybe walk around, make sure he can hold that sit for me. Good boy. Break. Make sure I can take him in and out of obedience, no problem. So he's loose again, and then we'll put him into a down. Remy, down. Good boy. If you really, want to, up the ante, you can drop the leash and walk away and all that kind of stuff. But we're going to wait till we get to, the off-leash stuff for that. Good boy. At any point, you can reinforce this stuff too. So I can tell him good and then give him some food if that's what your dog likes. Good boy. But really making sure he doesn't pop out of that until I give him his break. Remy, break. Good job. And if he does pop out at any point, I can give him one warning with my and repeat my command. But if he makes a habit of it, or it's really deliberate, like he's popping out because he sees a dog or a squirrel, I'm just going to tick my e-collar with that and repeat the command to provide a bit of a consequence for him. See how he's sniffing right here? That's all good. The leash is loose. As long as when I move, he gives into the pressure and comes with me, that's all that matters. Good job. We'll practice some healing. Remy, heel. Good boy. Good job, man. A lot of time I like to practice is going from like concrete to grass and making sure they maintain that heel without sniffing the ground or anything like that. Good job, man. Heel. Good boy. So we got a little correction right there because he got a little too sniffy and pulled ahead of me. Good boy. Good job. And now he's tightening up and really giving me a lot of effort. So that's the kind of stuff you want to catch before you let your dog off leash. Good job. Break. Yeah, man. You can interchange your break and your chip. You don't got to feed them all the time, right? And if you do this right, your break can be quite rewarding for the dog because they should care about your approval. Remy, heel. Good job, man. Good boy. We'll go to the grass again, see if we can catch him making that mistake. Good boy, buddy. We'll practice some left-hand turns. Good. More lefts. Good job. Some right-hand turns. Make sure I can turn comfortably with him. Good boy. Good job. Break. Yeah, man. Good job. So I'm just constantly giving him feedback on what a good choice is and what a bad choice is. And the other thing I want you to notice, when he got that correction, it wasn't at a low level. Like he kind of didn't really like that. At this point in the game, if I have to correct him, I don't want to be nagging him. I want to have one correction, get it over with, have it be done with. So we get to a point where we're just not having to do it, ever or rarely. I really don't want to nag them, and you can really desensitize them to the stim and get them to really block you out. And what I find is if you're doing it at the low levels and they're kind of being cheeky with it here, when we see dogs and people, it's game over because his arousal is going to be jacked. Oh, but well, it's looking pretty good. So we've got the on-leash stuff looking pretty solid. We'll take them off and we'll do some off-leash next. Good job, man. One thing I'll mention is every dog naturally loose leash walks a bit different. Remy really likes to just stay by your side in the loose leash walking. He almost heels. Your dog doesn't have to do this. If your dog wants to be a little further out or a little in front of you, that's totally fine. Remy is just a dog that, he kind of likes to be beside you, and that's okay too. The big thing is the leash is just loose, and he's not, head on a swivel, kind of out at the end of the leash, bombing around back and forth. He's engaged with you. He's aware of you on the leash. That's all that really matters. Where he is, relative to you doesn't matter too much at all. Good job, man. And this is really important to flag too. Like when we do have a dog on or off leash, if there's kids or small children around, you want to make sure the dog's under control. So you either want to have them on leash or off leash in a heel. Just because I trust my dog and I know they're going to behave and not go charging after dogs and people, they don't know that, right? So whenever I see another dog or a person, hey, come on, and I get a chance to do all that, I want to make sure they're under control. So right there, he pulled me on the leash and he got a correction. Good job. Down. Good boy. So the problem isn't that he's like kind of goofing around. He can goof around, but he has to keep it together enough where he doesn't pull me. All right. So if he just wants to like, lay in the grass or whatever, that's fine. But if he takes it far enough where he pulls at the end of the leash, that's immediately going to be a pop and a stim. So he, kind of keeps it together a bit on his own to avoid that leash pressure. Break. Good job. So when I do pop him off leash, I don't want to pop him off and just like have him bolt. So a lot of time what I'll do is I'll unclip him just like this, and then I'll just say, okay. And then I'll throw a couple quick recalls at him. Remy, come. Good boy. So we got a correction right there. We missed it on the camera, but he did go right for a stick to grab it and got a quick correction. That's why we do a couple quick recalls. Break. Let's try and catch him when he's bombing around like that. You can come in a little closer. Remy's favorite thing to do is just wiggle around and cool off on the grass. So what I'll often do with dogs like this is I'll let them, goof around, and then I'll see if I can recall them out of it. Remy, come. Good boy. Good job. And I always want to make sure when I recall him, I either break him or I chip him. Break. So he pauses there for a moment, doesn't start playing tag. Nice work, man. Now I've thrown a couple quick recalls at him, I'll throw some obedience at him. So sure, he's goofing around, but I want to see if he can go in and out of this, from this to obedience. Remy, come. Good boy. Down. Good boy. And when he's in the down, I expect him not to be doing all that. When he's in the down, I expect him not to be rolling around and going crazy and doing all. I expect him to be focusing on the down. Good job. Remy, heel. Good boy. And I want to show him this picture off leash before we see any dogs or people or anything like that, to make sure, heel. He's really responsive. Like that, he lagged a little bit, so he got a little correction on the E. Good boy. Good job, man. Good boy. Down. Good. So what I will do here is we'll work on some distance control. So I'll put him on a down, I'll take off, make sure he can hold it. What I don't want you to ever do is break your dog from way out here. And don't even get in the habit of recalling them from way out here. Because what happens is you get a dog that's on the edge of their seat and always waiting to break out of obedience at a distance. So I like to return, and even good boy, reinforce that and break. So kind of get it in his brain that he's always going to wait for the handler to come back before he breaks obedience. And you can do this with a sit as well. So Remy, sit. Good boy. And the sit, sometimes it's even harder for them because it's so much easier for them to like pop out of that, right? They're not totally stationary in the down, especially for a big heavy guy like Remy. A little harder for him to get out of that down than that sit. Good boy. Good job. You don't have to reinforce it, but you can throw it in there. Good job. Break. Work, man. Now we're just gonna walk and let him do his thing and sniff around. And a lot of time when I first am getting a dog off leash and kind of seeing kind of where they're at and how responsive they are, I'll wait for him to get distracted before I throw obedience at him. I have no doubt that if I ask him to heel or down right now, he'd do it. But I kind of want to walk over to some smells and stuff and wait till he's really on something and then see if he can heel or recall, because that's kind of give you a better bar of where he's at when there's competing motivators around. And when he is off leash, he's allowed to do whatever he wants. If he gets too far, I'll recall him to kind of enforce this 50-foot bubble I want to create. But he is free to do whatever he wants. So if we do see another dog or another person, I'll just call him and put him under some obedience. Job, man. If you do this right, the dog should stick somewhat close to you, you know, in the general area. Some dogs naturally do it more than others, but they shouldn't just be like taking off, sprinting like 200 meters away, because they should understand that, you know, you'll just recall them right away. Remy, heel. Good boy. Good job, man. Yeah, break. Nice. But the big thing to notice is that, you know, before we've seen any like real big distractions, we've kind of put him through his paces, and we've made that control on him before we need it. If we just kind of did nothing and waited till we saw a dog, we'd be in a lot of a worse spot to keep him under control. Go on, man. Go on, buddy. Another thing you can use to just get the dog going in your direction is just something like this. Remy, let's go. I'm not formally recalling him, but I will enforce that on the e-collar if he doesn't start getting in my direction. Once the dogs are really obedient and they're really responsive, you should just be able to like say their name, let's go this way, and just get them going in your general direction. So if I see he's too far away, if he's on a sniff, if, you know, I want to keep him away from like a pack of kids or whatever, I'll just guide him. And if I need to formally recall him in an emergency or put him in a heel, it's there. Go, bud. And he's a dog that really likes to be in obedience, so you'll see every now and then he'll just like pop into the heel. I don't like that. I break him and like pop him out of there, let him know like, you're free, man. Like, go do whatever you want, make your own choices. Remy, come. Good boy, buddy. Good job, man. So good. Yeah. That's the first time I've rewarded him for a recall. I like to do it every now and then, just to keep it sharp. Let's go, bud. Go on, break. You can see him trying to pop into that heel again. He really likes being there. But I don't want to make it gray. I don't want him to think he's healing sometimes, think it's okay to leave. I want to make it really clear. Okay, you're in heel right now. If you pop out, you're going to get corrected. No, you're on your break. You can do what you want. There's no expectations. Remy, let's go. Good boy. And when I say that, I'm just looking for him to get going in the general direction. Another thing he's really bad for, or he used to be, is picking crap up, picking shit up like sticks and stuff like that. So if he does that, I'll tell him leave it, and I'll ding him on the e-collar just to really get him to stop thinking that's okay, because he's this kind of dog, he'll eat crap and, you know, hurt himself picking stuff up he shouldn't be. Remy, let's go. If he wanders too far away, I just tell him, hey, this way, buddy, keep it moving. He's such a goober with the grass. I think it cools him off. So now we're getting close to kids here, right? So this is probably when I'd want to have him under a little bit of obedience. So Remy, heel. Good boy. This he like kind of went to the wrong side for half a second there. I want to let that breathe and let him, you know, see if he'll hit the spot before I just nail him on the e-collar. I might have even just said and repeated my command. He's giving me effort, he's being responsive, right? I only want to use this if he's really, you know, making a mistake. A blatant mistake, not an honest mistake. That's the big difference. So before, when I dinged him for healing, it was because he was choosing to sniff the grass and pulled too far ahead of me instead of healing, and he shouldn't be doing that. I can see like there's no people or dogs around here, you know, for a good wide area, you know, so I can say, Remy, break, and go let him be a dog again. If we see some people or some dogs, I'm going to call him right back into that heel. But you always want to be responsible with this. You don't want everyone to think that, you know, your dog is just loose. I never endorse that. You know, there's people or dogs around, my dog's under control. Let's go, bud. Good job, man. Go on, break. Go on, buddy. Good job, man. I can see we got some dogs here. Remy, leave it. Good boy. And you see how, that's a good example actually. Remy, good boy. Down. Good boy. See right there, like those dogs popped up, they're crying at the fence line. Remy didn't really like, you know, posture up to go be reactive, right? You know, he's actually a pretty nice, happy-go-lucky guy, but got a little interested. Oh, there's some dogs, right? So that's when I'm gonna give him some guidance. I can either say, let's go, I can put him under obedience, or if I wanna be really firm about it, you know, he's getting a little too close too quickly, I can tell him leave it immediately, right? And if he blew that off, I would correct him on the e-collar for sure. But that's an instance where I'd rather give him some direction than just nail him. Because he wasn't like, you can tell by the body language, he's not going over there to like start a fight or anything. He's like, ooh, some dogs. I'll just tell him, hey, that's not for you, buddy. Leave it. Good boy. Break. Come on, buddy. Break. Go on. Come on. Break. Get. Boy. Now we got some people coming up on the path, so Remy's gonna go right under obedience. Remy, heel. Heel. Good boy. So there's no e-collar there. Just a little reminder. Good job. Good boy. Good heel. Heel. Good. Good work, man.
Hey there.
Hello. Good boy. Good job, man. Good job, buddy. Good. Yeah. Nice, man. So right there, you can see he got a little too excited, you know, and he creeped a little too far ahead and got dinged on the e-collar right away when we saw those dogs. Good job. Come on. You don't want to be late to that. You want to be early. As soon as you see him creeping out, getting a little too far ahead, you want to be all over that. Because if you're too late, his rouse will be too high and, you know, he'll be out of control. Remy, let's go. Good job, bud. Remy, heel. Good boy. Now we're in a busier area, so he'll be in the heel the whole time when we pass all this stuff. Good job, man. Good boy. Good job, man. boy, buddy. Good job. Break. I like to make that break really, really apparent. So he really, really knows, okay, you're healing, you're on your break, you can do what you want. And you see how now we pass all those dogs and it's no problem, right? Because we warmed him up properly and we caught him the first time he showed any arousal, and now the dogs are no problem. Remy, let's go. Good boy. Down. Good. What most people do is they let their bar degrade a little bit when they see the people or the dogs. They're like, oh, he's not being reactive. He's just popping out of his heel a little bit. He's just getting like a little aroused. And what the dog learns is they can get away with more around people or dogs. Where I like to go the other way around. As soon as I put him into a heel or a down around dogs, I'm kind of a bastard about it, because I know, especially him, he's a naturally pretty reactive dog. If he's making mistakes in the obedience around dogs, there's probably a reason. I want to be pretty strict about it. Good job, Rem. Good boy. Remy, heel. Good job, man. Let's start making our way back now. Break. Yeah, break. Let's go, man. Let's go, buddy. Yeah, there he is. And there's like, no one around for a good while here, so I'm all right having him loose. If I see like a bike come or something, I'll recall and put him back in the heel again. Leave it. Good boy. Good job. I want to kick that off the path for bikes. Remy's got a really bad habit of picking stuff up, which is, harmless for the most part, but he'll chew it and swallow it and get in trouble with stuff like that. He'll eat poop, stuff like that. So we just set the standard, you're not allowed to pick stuff up. Now, if I tell him to leave it more than once, I'm going to ding him on the e-collar. Remy, let's go. Good boy. He's getting a little tired. Remy, heel. Good boy. Good job. Good. This guy lives down the street from us. He's a bit of a Nazi about dogs. Huh? Well, might as well be. It's like he hates dogs. Yeah, he's very grumpy. Break. Break. Go on. If he sees my dog pooping, he like pokes out his window and makes sure I'm picking it up. Yeah, he's real lovely. Come on, break. Go on, buddy. Break. Yeah, go be dog. Remy, let's go. Heel. Good boy. Good job, man. Hello. Down. Good boy. So as you can see, like, he's not perfect, right? Like, he needs little reminders here and there. Like, we caught him on a recall. We caught him picking up a stick. We caught him get a little too excited in the heel. He probably got like 4 or 5 corrections this walk, right? That's okay. You know, he's only been, you know, under the training system for 4 weeks. In the grand scheme of things, you know, he's 4 years old, right? He's been at it a while. So a few reminders here and there is fine. But what we do want to see, you know, he's not being reactive, you know, he's not doing anything outrageous, and he recovers, right? So he understands what that stim means, and part of that is good training, which he'll have when he comes home. He'll know what that e-collar means, but also your timing, right? So like the second he pulls me, he feels that leash pressure, I don't allow it, I get on him. The second he dawdles on a recall, for even a second, I get on him. If he's heeling with me and we see a dog and he pops out a little too far ahead, you know what his intentions are, right? He's a little excited. He wants to go say hi to the dog, or he wants to be, you know, like whatever, right? I know what his intentions are. I get on him right away. So that timing's got to be there. And I'm also like not messing around. Like I hesitate to tell you guys levels because every dog is different. You know, for some dogs it might be like a 20, but he's at a 60 on a double box, right? That's a pretty high level. You know, he's not a particularly sensitive dog, and he had some bad training before he came into us, which dulled him to the e-collar quite a bit. So he's much more resistant to it than your average dog. But it is like the physical response is what you should be looking for. You see him kind of like and like pop right into it. That's what we want to see, like a level that is, you know, he really wants to avoid. It should be, you know, moderate to high discomfort. You know, so he sees that enough times. He gets all those pictures, you know, out of his head, and he's like, oh, I don't pop out on my heel and there's dogs around. It's not worth it for me. I don't sniff the ground when I'm in a heel. I don't blow off recalls. It's not worth it for me. Those are how you stay on top of it and maintain it. And your first week that the dog comes home, you should be expecting to do this here and there, right? Because they're going to want to test the waters with you. There's certain things they've never seen. And then eventually get to the point where you're using it very infrequently. You know, it might be, you know, every now and then that you're using it. Depends on your dog. Remy's a pretty hard-headed dog. That's why we used him for this, right? If he's perfect, you guys wouldn't be learning anything. But don't be afraid to use your e-collar, you know, when the dog is doing something that they know they shouldn't be, you know, and don't tic-tac them. Don't mess around with it, because you'll dull them out to it, you know, they'll get used to it and they'll start walking all over you. The last thing we're going to do with him is we are going to pop him back on leash and take him home, because I do like to, you know, really show them like, hey, you're off leash, you're free, now you're back on leash, right back to being chill, not pulling me, all that stuff. Break. Some dogs really struggle with, you know, they're off leash, you pop them back on, and their arousal is skyrocketing, they start pulling and all that stuff. Remy is actually pretty good about it, but we are going to check that box just in case. And just for good measure, we'll go walk by all these dogs at the fence line again. So when you walk by dogs, they're like being aroused or reactive, you know, all I care about for him, he doesn't pull me, he doesn't get reactive, right? He can be interested, he can look, that's all fine. Good boy, buddy. It's a nice looking Roddy. It's like a mix of some sort, but he's handsome. Good job, buddy. Yeah, good work, man. Very good. Remy's a little insecure. That's where a lot of his reactivity comes from, right? It's when big dogs are presenting a lot of arousal towards him. So if I pass that and I see he's making good choices, I'll praise him. Like every single time, I'll praise him. I'll also give him a little direction, like, hey man, let's go, keep it moving. I expect him to make good choices, but I can still give him some guidance and some reassurance too.